Hey there, guidelines for bodybuilding and nutrition. You need protein, but how much protein does a person need if they want to put on muscle? That's up to the individual because everyone has a different protein turnover rate. They have a different capacity to assimilate protein. Not just the size of the amount of protein. Generally, it's it's acknowledged that and written down in many, if you look in any, listen, if you look in any magazine, if you look in many articles, whether they're in books, manuals, guide guides for nutrition of athletes, they will recommend zero point 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, not per pound of body weight, per kilogram of body weight, zero point 0.8 grams. And that's not a lot. But what you have to take into consideration when you talk about bodybuilding is the amount of work you do in the gym, how many sets, how much weight you use, how many repetitions. If you take somebody who's doing 5 sets of biceps, another person doing 10, the person doing 10 sets of biceps is going to break down more muscle tissue. And they will need more protein. So how much protein do they need? How much protein do you need? It depends on how much you're working. If you want to know how much protein you need, you have to use a little common sense. You have to consider your lean body weight. If you have a low lean body mass, then generally you want to try to gradually increase your protein. So now, if you take that zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight requirement established by the USDA, that's not going to be enough to meet the requirements of everyone's protein. But if you're talking about 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of protein, right, in one meal, is that enough? Can you digest 30 grams of protein in one meal? Well, 30 grams of protein times 4 calories, because each gram of protein contains 4 calories. So you multiply 4 times 30, that will give you 120 calories. What you have to consider is that your body does not care about putting on muscle. It cares about calories. It cares about meeting your energy intake. Your body tries to take that 30 grams of protein and convert it into sugar, because the body can easily convert protein into sugar. So what do you do? How do you get that protein to go to your muscles? It's all about digestion and assimilation, the quality of protein that you take in. So there's something called the net protein utilization. It's a fancy word for how much of the protein you take in, your body excretes versus how much you take in. That's determined by the balance of nitrogen, the nitrogen in the food that you eat. There's certain foods like eggs have more of a high quality, more complete nitrogen level because they have more amino acids. more balanced amino acids. The amino acids, you have the 8 essential amino acids, but you also have 22 total amino acids that should be taken in because they are necessary too. The egg is the only protein that is complete. So now if you eat a meal that doesn't contain eggs, and let's say you're taking meat, beef, it does not contain all the essential amino. It contains branch chains, but it does not contain the proper balance of amino acids. So it is not enough. You can eat a bunch of steak and your body won't utilize all the protein. But how do you get around this? You need to eat a balance. You have to mix your proteins. So if you eat the beef, you should, maybe include some amino acid supplements. But if you don't want to do that, go ahead and throw maybe a little egg white in there. Or you can even have it with some vegetarian source of protein, like chickpeas, like quinoa. What I like to do is use something called quinoa spaghetti or chickpea spaghetti, because this way you can add fiber to the protein, which is very important. But not only that, when you're eating protein, you have to understand that it's very acidic. And when it goes into your stomach, if you do not balance that acidity, your body won't utilize the protein. It will not have the ability to properly digest that protein. So when you're taking some protein, you should take in something with high potassium, something with sodium that helps neutralize that acidity. Otherwise, your body won't digest the protein properly. That's why it's recommended, if you like taking that steak, you're taking some vegetables with it. So some greens. Too high amount of acidity in your bloodstream will destroy the pH. There's a certain pH that your protein in your body can be assimilated at. And if it's too acid, that it won't meet the proper pH. You should always take in your protein foods with, like I said, greens, and also foods that contain high potassium, like generally vegetables do. And getting to the subject, though, of vegetarian sources of protein. You can make certain vegetarian sources of protein, but it's very hard to get all the amino acids. Great source of vegetarian protein is hemp, goji berries. Now, a lot of people mention soy, but a lot of people's body don't assimilate soy properly. Like I said, it doesn't have the proper pH balance. It has to be a proper pH balance in order for your stomach to assimilate protein. And certain foods, like the meats, are too highly acidic. And certain foods are too non-acidic, too neutral, and your body can't assimilate it. But that's also depends on the pH of your stomach. Everyone has different pH in their stomach, and you can get the pH of your stomach tested. The pH of your stomach will determine how much protein you can assimilate. You can get tests for this. If you really want to, and you're serious about bodybuilding and you want to know how much protein you need, and you want to know how to maximize the assimilation of protein, there are tests to test the pH of your stomach, and you should get them. You can send away for them. The saliva test, you can go to your doctor and request it. Many doctors don't know their butthole from their nose when it comes to these matters, like a pH test, because they go according to a protocol. But it is very important, okay, to get proper protein if you're a bodybuilder. But it's not all about just protein. You need the proper foods to neutralize the acidity. Foods that contain, like you said, high potassium, sodium. Sodium is mostly found in your liver. The protein, when it goes into your liver, if it's too acidic, it will interfere with the bile. And once the bile is what breaks down the fats in your body, in your bloodstream. Once you eat protein and it goes through your stomach and it goes into the liver has to process those proteins. If it does not have the correct amount of bile, once those proteins travel through the bile ducts into the pancreas, the pancreas will not process those proteins properly because they're too acidic and they won't have the proper amounts of bile. And therefore your body won't utilize the protein. It's very important to eat vegetables and fruits, proper amount of sodium, potassium when you eat protein. Now, there's a lot of diets, and a lot of mentioned here, the carnivore diet. You see people going on social media, just eating a steak, no vegetables. That's stupid. That is very stupid. Like you can get diverticulitis. Diverticulitis. That's when the foods get trapped inside the walls in the folds of your intestine. It causes infection. It causes ulcers. This happens when you eat a high amount of meat without fiber, without vegetables. It's foolish to do so. So you see all these people like this eating a steak, no vegetables. It's really stupid. Your body cannot assimilate the protein without the vegetables. So how much protein do you need? You got to go according to your lean body weight. Let's say if you have 160 pounds of lean body weight, you generally want to get like an equal amount, 160. So now your body will either utilize that 160 completely, or it will eliminate the some of the protein that you eat. But if you're working out hard enough in the gym, and what type of workout will maximize protein intake? There's the question. What type of exercise will maximize the protein intake? Way back, when first bodybuilding courses started and then being commercialized, they recommended the progressive resistance started out as 12 to 15 repetitions. When you reach 15, you can do 8 to 12. Sometimes when you reach to 12, you can do 6 to 8 regimen. This is called progressive resistance. So that is the protocol, that's the type of exercise you should do. Now, if you do more sets, is it better? No, it's not. Another thing is how soon after you work out should you eat? Well, there's a lot of stomach acids, there's a lot, but particularly there's a lot of adrenaline after you work out, and there's a lot of stress. This interferes with the bile. Stress interferes with the bile production of your liver. So that's why you should never eat soon after you work out. You should allow at least an hour after you work out to eat, sometimes 2 hours, believe it or not. But this generally recognized an hour. Now, a lot of people disagree with this, but it's a fact that the stress hormone will interfere with the bile production. And it does not make any sense to eat like 1 hour, right after you work out, eat a big steak or something. It's not going to be digested. It's going to interfere with your liver. So the general guidelines for protein intake for an individual is recognized as, 1 gram per lean pound of body weight. If you weigh 160 grams of protein. Now, you should mix up your protein sources. You have the highest biological value protein are the eggs, followed by chicken. Chicken has more of an amino acid balance than this beef. Beef would be third. Turkey would actually be fourth, believe it or not. And fish would be even follow the turkey. Fish would be less than turkey as far as bioavailability of protein. That's why you should mix up your sources. Now, what about milk or cheese? Milk or cheese is actually second behind the egg as far as protein bioavailability. But a lot of people don't do well with dairy, eating dairy. That's why it's very difficult. But you have to pay attention, and you should start out testing certain protein foods and see how well you can digest them, how long it takes. If you eat like meat and you notice that after 3 hours or so, 4 hours, 3 hours, the meat's still staying in your stomach, it's not doing you any good. You're not getting any of the protein. So meat is not good for you. It's not, right? Then you test another protein source. You can test the egg, see how well your stomach does with the egg. If it does well, if you notice after 3 hours the egg is out of your stomach, then that's a good suitable protein for you. Of course, you have to consider the amount of fat. You need fat in order to assimilate protein, because the body needs the fat for energy. If it does not have fat, it will take the protein and break it down and utilize it for energy. The body can break down protein and turn it into carbs. So you don't just want to follow a low fat diet. And so you could go on and test how well your body does with the cheese products, with the milk products. If it doesn't do well, you could try eating less of it, or your body needs calcium sources. So there's other things that contain a lot of calcium, like leafy greens and sesame seeds. But there are no questions here, so I encourage questions. If you're preparing, if you're competitive, okay. So anyway, I'm going to end this and I'm going to do another live stream in a second.